Let's take a look at what the ranked teams did yesterday very quickly. You see Tennessee in orange, of course, but ahead of them, the two red scores there. Ohio State, the number 2 team in the country, they lost to unranked Michigan. And then number 6, Miami, lost to Syracuse. So you would think, all right, well, that's going to move Tennessee up a couple of slots. Well, the question is, does Ohio State, typically, recently, if you've lost, you fall to the back half of the 12. So you would think Ohio State would drop past Tennessee. At the same time, you can look at the two resumes, as we will, and decide, well, maybe Ohio State's resume is better than Tennessee, so they'll be ahead of them. At any rate, it's kind of a split decision here. Let's take a look. People keep asking me about the playoff, how it works, when do we play, all that kind of stuff. Let's just quickly run through this for those people who don't know it. Tennessee is pretty much in the playoff at this point. So first round games are played Friday, December 20th, and then there are 3 on Saturday, December 21st. You see the television, 2 of them are going to be here on WATE. Those are all on-campus games, all right? If you make the second round, those are played on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Those are all on ESPN, and they will be played in the location of the Fiesta, Peach, Rose, and Sugar, and those are the bye teams waiting on you. And the bye teams, the top 4 seeds, they'll pick a bowl game closest to them, which makes it interesting. If Penn State beats Oregon and gets a bye, which bowl is close to Penn State? I mean, it's possible. This is how the system works. Penn State could say, well, we're closer to Atlanta. And if you're playing Tennessee, I think Tennessee fans would love that. You'd be the home team, basically. All right, then the semifinals are in the Orange Bowl and the Cotton Bowl, played on 2 different days. All right, we zip forward there. These are the brackets from the 14 different ESPN writers. 7 have Ohio State dropping behind Tennessee, which gives Tennessee a home game. 7 have Ohio State in front of Tennessee, which puts Tennessee on the road. The majority of these plans, all right, here, I'll just step through them. One person says Tennessee will be the 10 seed playing at Indiana with Texas waiting. Another person says Tennessee will be the 10 seed at Georgia with Texas, again, waiting for you. Now, the other bracket is Tennessee at Georgia. One person says Tennessee at Georgia with Oregon waiting. 4 different writers say Tennessee at Ohio State with Oregon waiting on you. So 4 different brackets have Tennessee at Ohio State in the 9-8 game. Now you look at these 7 brackets that have Tennessee at home. One of them has Penn State at Tennessee. One of them has Indiana. 2 of them have Indiana at Tennessee. I'm sorry, that should have been combined. So 1 at Penn State, 1 Penn State at Tennessee, 2 Indiana at Tennessee. 4 writers say Ohio State at Tennessee. So out of 14 brackets, 8 of them say Ohio State, Tennessee, either in Knoxville or in Columbus. And then the last thing, this thing isn't settled yet because there's still conference championship games to be played. The AAC, you see their rankings from this past week. Tulane lost to Memphis. They're probably not going to be ranked, so I don't think the AAC will have anything to do with the bracket. If Tulane is somehow still ranked and they win that game, if other things spun around, they could get in as the 5th highest rated team. I don't see that happening, but still, it's on there for a reason. Big 12 champ, Mountain West champ. I mean, UNLV could beat Boise State and get in there and steal somebody's bid. ACC is SMU Clemson. I think Clemson's only way in at this point is probably winning that thing. Big 10 is now Oregon and Penn State since Ohio State choked against Michigan yesterday. And then the SEC is Texas, Georgia in a rematch. And for all of us who said last week, Georgia's clearly better than Texas and anybody else in the league. All right, fast forward a week and I no longer think that. So we now, guys, thoughts on what you just saw in terms of home game, road game. What do you think Tennessee gets? Who do you think deserves that home game, Tennessee or Ohio State? Just reactions to those 14 different bracket projections.
You know, I just think the Big Ten seems to be a little, in my opinion, a little overrated. I don't think Ohio State will fall as far as they should, and I think that's probably your most likely scenario is Tennessee will go to Ohio State.
It'd be interesting if Greg Sankey were the commissioner of this group, or I'm sorry, the chairman of this group instead of the Big Ten guy. I will be curious to see. I think there's a chance Ohio State could fall behind Tennessee. I don't know. But is the Big Ten going to do anything to Ohio State for the fight afterward?
Yeah, how many guys might be suspended?
And if they do, like they did with Florida State last year,
then
you're going to drop
into
Ohio State below Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
Which opens the door for Tennessee to be a host. I really don't know what's going to happen with the thing. It's been so hard to predict. But I do think ultimately Tennessee's going to end up playing Ohio State. It's just a matter of where. But that's just a guess on my part.
Yes, to me, it's how far does Miami fall? They were number 3.
I think they're out.
That made
My
me
guess,
out.
yeah.
How far does Ohio State fall? Typically, I think it's been at least 4 or 5 spots, maybe more. And like you're saying, Jimmy, I wondered about the post-game situation. I think right now Tennessee is still like 50-50 whether it's going to be home or away. I think there's still some games to be played before we know.
It makes sense that there's so much back and forth, Tennessee and Ohio State. So that to me is the best question, which one gets to host, because they're likely one and then the other. How does the committee discuss the way Ohio State played in that loss? Because they could have scored 21 more points and won the game by a large margin, but they didn't. And then they look the way they do after the game on the field. Does the committee factor that in? Does this team needs a punishment for how they handled everything?
Let's do a blind resume challenge. Let's put up a graphic here, and everybody has one of these. We've all got our sheets here. Do we have the, there we go. All right, Team A, Team B, Team C, Team D, Team E, Team F. I want to see if you guys pick it just like the committee, which seems to just go by the record, or we've complained about it. So now you can put your money where your mouth is. Are you going by strength of schedule? You have 2 11-1 teams. You have 2 10-2 teams. You have 2 9-3 teams. All right? Don't sit here and try and figure out, well, that's going to be so and so. Just play by the numbers. Be fair. It shows you their overall record. It shows you their wins versus last week's top 25, the losses they had by last week's top 25 teams, losses outside the top 25, in other words, bad losses, and then foes with winning records overall, which is a good strength of schedule gauge down there at the bottom. Teams are all over the place. Let's say 4 of these teams get in. All right? Do you just take the 11-1s and 10s and 2s? Or does a 9-3 beat one of those other teams? Based on, I mean, the 9-3 teams have more wins versus top 25 teams than any of the double-digit winners. They played better schedules. I mean, so do you factor that in or not? Bob Hodge, who gets in?
I'm going to go with I think 1-loss teams are automatic.
Okay, A and
I
B are in.
I think foes with winning records gets in Team C. And yeah, then it would almost be a coin flip between Team E and Team F, because there is something to be said with playing a better schedule. It has to come into play.
But so far it's been the eye test.
Well,
too many
that's why
times.
I'm asking you.
Right.
What do you? I'm not asking
Right.
what they're doing. I'm asking what would you do?
I think just like Bob says, I'm going to go with the 1-loss teams.
Okay.
And then if you're like 2 losses, I think the 9-3 teams have really got to have done something special, and maybe even more special than it looks here. I think, how do you
So we're
tell
not-
a team's 10-2 you're not getting in that has got
you're
3
going-
foes with winning records and 6 foes with winning
So
records?
you're going A, B, C, D, E.
I sure am.
Well, one of them's got 3 winning
Yeah.
records. 3 winning records.
Yeah,
That's all they
6 and
played.
3, yeah.
A, B, C, D for Chuck, A, B, C for Bob, and then question mark. Jimmy?
A, B, C, E.
A, B, C, E. Josh?
See, I would lean E.
Okay, Bob leans E.
Really think about it.
So first I'd go
Whispering
Team
to
B.
Jimmy. We're on
Yeah.
TV. You can talk.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Josh.
I'd go Team B, then Team C.
Okay.
Team A, where's your quality here?
Yep.
So 11-1, but
Quick,
part of the problem,
quick,
I think I know who that is. So
Oh,
I would go then Team F,
Okay. BCF. D or E?
D.
D. Okay. So let's go ahead and review. Let's flip to the next graphic. So only Chuck and Josh have Tennessee in the field.
Boy, it's good.
All right, people aren't mad at me, so that's good.
Team D is Tennessee. If we're going by schedule, Team D is
Right.
Tennessee. So that would be, let's see, A, B, and C would be Georgia, Notre Dame, and Ohio State automatically in. And then we had a couple of E's, which is South Carolina
Right.
would be in. And then Josh had Alabama in. So, and Chuck would have done that too, but he figured out who Tennessee was and doctored it. Okay, the one thing I told him not to do.
well, I figured out who Tennessee was too.
And doctored it the other way because you're negative.
Yeah, there you go.
Here's one last
okay.
thing. Here's one last thing. It shows to me how important the conference championship games are going to be, and who can win those, and who plays well even if they lose, because you got to have something else to stack up with some of these teams.
Well, I just look at Team E, and I mean, you
That's
had
Carolina.
You
Right,
played
yeah.
5 top 25 teams. You had a winning record. You had 6 teams on your schedule with winning records, and you were 9-3. At some point in time, it has to mean something.
Tennessee's strength of schedule is closer to Indiana than anybody else on here.
Yes.
And everybody's made fun of Indiana all year. But go ahead, Jimmy, what were you going to say?
The thing that this doesn't show is head-to-head.
Right. That's right. It doesn't show head-to-head.
Yeah, Bama, South Carolina is an interesting conversation.
Yes.
Yes.
It's close in Tuscaloosa.
Well, Ole Miss
right.
and South Carolina is going to be an interesting set.
Very good. When we come back, is our confidence in the offense improving? As our VFLs have their own show over there. Is our confidence in the offense improving? Come on back on the Sports Source.